wasn't, and that's why it's not as loved as it should be.
I would have to agree, man. Me personally, I love Jackie Brown. I saw it even though I was a kid and I probably didn't really understand it as well as I do now, but I watched it when it came out, and even then I was like, "This is a great film," and my grandparents loved it too. Surprisingly, yeah, they watched it a few times. I don't know if it's because my grandmother loves Pam Grier for some reason, but yeah, I remember them being very surprised and excited about Jackie Brown. But they also love Pulp Fiction as well.
Well, that's cool. I mean, it's crazy that your grandparents like Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, they love it. It's insane
because it's such a crazy movie. And I mean, my personal stake in it was that that my parents absolutely hated it because it was just so crazy they couldn't wrap their minds around it. Mm-hmm. But I think that's really funny that your parents or your grandparents loved Pulp Fiction. But that's awesome that they love Jackie Brown because not nearly enough people do.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, it's a movie that not a lot of people have seen, or if they have, it's a guy I used to work with, it was like his least favorite Tarantino movie. And I don't get why, because it's to me it's perfect in every way. Like the characters are perfect, everyone is like so well sketched out, everyone has like a great character arc in it. The dialogue is perfect.
Maybe that's why, because even though all of his films are very dialogue heavy and he relies on that as a tool, this one is very much more just dialogue driven. Mm-hmm. And there's no real, I mean, there's a payoff for us, people who really love film and understand it, but for the other, maybe, casual film viewers probably didn't get that. They were like, where's the payoff,
Yeah. And you had mentioned when we were speaking earlier that it's more of a slow burn. Mm-hmm. And I agree. But, man, like, that payoff is great. Like, at the end, when you figure out that she had played everyone with the exception of Max, like, that's great. And I'm getting like flustered talking about it because I love the movie so much, and I'm really passionate about it, and it bugs me that not a lot of people love it like they should.
Oh, another thing, we haven't really talked about Tarantino and his use of music, which is a big part.
Yes.
Is a big part of him, and this soundtrack is amazing.
This soundtrack's great. I only have 2 Tarantino soundtracks on vinyl, and this is one of them. Because I love it, but I've always been like a big soul and funk music guy. I love soul and funk music, and yeah, this soundtrack is my favorite for the obvious reasons. But even then, it's not totally soul or funk. Like there's the Johnny Cash tune that's on it. There's the Grassroots, the Midnight Confessions tune that's on it. There's even a hip hop tune on it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, for sure, the soundtracks, we didn't really hit on that with a couple of the other movies beyond mentioning like a certain song or two that was very connected to the film.
Veering off real quick, what's the other vinyl that you have?
The Hateful Eight, because the Ennio Morricone score was fantastic, and that was like one of the few that I could get on vinyl at the time.
That was Ennio's first score for a Western in so many years. Right?
Yeah, I think it's probably the mid 70s or something.
Yeah, that's intense. Anything else that you want to say about Jackie?
Well, I could talk about Jackie Brown all day. we had mentioned like the violence, mm-hmm. and obviously Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, and there's some violence in the film, but nothing like what was in his previous 2 films, or the previous two that he directed. There's only, I think, 4 kills in the entire movie, and they're all off screen, with the exception of De Niro getting killed. But even that is fairly bloodless. You only see a little bit of blood splatter on the windshield.
Yeah. Oh, before I forget, I really love the Bridget Fonda kill. As fucked up as it is, and I think that it plays well because they don't show you, and it just seems that much more visceral to me, that he just does it in the middle of a mall parking lot, like if it's nothing, because she's just like,
because she keeps nagging at him, nagging him,
like hard. It's just pop, pop, pop.
he had enough. Yeah, and I agree, and I think the way that it's written, I think you actually see it in the screenplay, but in the movie he doesn't show it. He just, De Niro turns around and shoots her, and she just falls out of frame. And then, he pops her, I think, another one or 2 times when she's on the ground. But yeah, like, all the kills are either off screen or far enough away that you don't see anything. Before you get into the Swan facts.
Okay.
This, I don't know if you have this fact, but Tarantino always wanted to work with Pam Grier.
That makes sense.
And Pam Grier auditioned for the Rosanna Arquette role in Pulp Fiction for the Eric Stoltz's wife. And I guess she had a good audition, but Tarantino didn't cast her in the role because he said, no way is someone going to talk to Pam Grier like that. But he always wanted to work with her that way. That's why when he had Jackie Brown, like, I think she was his first and only choice to play Jackie Brown. He might have even written it for her.
Okay. Yeah, that's not one of my facts, but that doesn't surprise me at all, because I remember either reading or hearing somewhere or around that he's always been a big Pam Grier fan, because that guy he's a movie buff or whatever, and I know he loves the blaxploitation stuff, and soul and everything, so that doesn't surprise me one bit.
It's also, we should point out that this was also the first and only to this date adaptation that Tarantino has done.
That was one of my...
That was just one fact. I'll let you run with the Swan facts then.
Yeah, or at least I think that's... Yep. Only film to be adapted from pre-existing material, which is it was originally a novel.
Yeah.
Is it called something else?
It's called Rum Punch.
Yeah.
The Elmore Leonard novel it's based on is called Rum Punch, and Tarantino had the rights to it, and he changed the character's name, he changed her race, and he changed the location of the film, because the movie takes place in Miami, or the book, takes place in Miami, and the film takes place in Los Angeles, because that's Tarantino's turf. But because he had made those changes to the character, and he was very afraid to show Elmore Leonard the screenplay. And when he finally did, Elmore Leonard read it and said, this is probably the best adaptation of my work I've ever read. He was like very happy with everything. He said, you go and make it your own, but this is the best I've ever read.
Very cool. My next Swan fact is it's a small one, but I thought it was pretty cool. So the film's title design is the same used in Foxy Brown from 1974.
And the opening shot is an homage to The Graduate.
Oh.
To the opening credit sequence of The Graduate, when Dustin Hoffman's on the moving walkway at an airport.
Oh yeah.
What's your favorite scene in the movie? Or just like your favorite line of dialogue or character, anything?
I like the Chris Tucker bit.
Oh my! The Chris Tucker where Sam Jackson's trying to get him in the trunk. That whole exchange between the two of them is probably one of my favorite Tarantino scenes ever.
Yeah, because you got the trunk shot, the classic trunk shot. Yeah.
And just bickering over like the space and how he doesn't want to ride in the trunk, and Sam Jackson needs the element of surprise. I love it. That's one of my favorite parts, and I remember seeing that in the trailer. I think there were 2 trailers for it, and there was like a part in the trailer that might have been the one that you played, where they have a snippet of that argument where he's trying to get him in the trunk.
He's like, I'm not getting in the trunk for no reason. Just Chris Tucker's demeanor. It's always hilarious. Because he's not in it for very long.
No, he's not. I think he even gets like the "and" credit in the movie, because he that was before Rush Hour. But he had done Friday, and he had done Dead Presidents and The Fifth Element and everything, so he was fairly big at the time.
Yeah.
And he gets like the "and" credit, and he's only in that one scene before, spoiler.
Yeah, he gets
killed.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was my Swan facts for this film. Any closing thoughts for your favorite Tarantino film ever?
God, do I love that movie. I don't know if I've mentioned this, that I really liked the fact that the characters in the film were older.
Yeah, they really...
they were kind of like in the twilight of their years, and kind of considering their life up to this point, and wanted to make the change. And like Pam Grier wanted to get away out from under Sam Jackson and do her own thing, and Robert Forster, who the Max Cherry role that was always kind of like the straight shooter and everything, decides to get in on this this not necessarily heist, but taking the money, and kind of doing something that was out of character for him to do, and really like without a whole lot of coercion from Pam Grier, from Jackie Brown, to do it. He was basically just like, yeah, I'll do it. He wanted it. I mean, he had a thing for her. That was obvious from the very beginning when he first meets her.
Yeah. But
yeah, she didn't have to to pry him like too hard. He was willing to get in on it with her.
And then they don't end up together.
Yeah, and I kind of like that, even though at the very end, like the look on his face, and he ends the phone call that he's on saying, I'll call you back, kind of gives the sense that, I probably should have said yes, I probably should have gone with her.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that it ends with them going their separate ways. Mm-hmm. And that he not at any point felt like he was being used by her. And, and she tells him, I never used you. And he says, I know. He did it all of his own volition. But I love that movie. I love Jackie Brown so much.
I have a bonus Swan fact that just popped into my head. So you were just talking about the whole thing is revolved around this, not heist, but they're trying to get one over on these people and steal like a vast amount of money. Mm-hmm. And I guess the money that they show, like when they're, where is it at, in the shopping mall?
In the Del Amo Fashion Mall.
Yeah. When they show the money in the shopping bag, that's actually real currency.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
I thought it was illegal to show money on film. I could be wrong about that. Like to show actual money on film.
I mean, it was in 97. Maybe things have changed or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's real currency.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so that's wrapping up Jackie Brown, and I think unless you wanted to add something,
I just wanted to talk about like just how, like, I mean, first of all, how good is Pam Grier in that movie? How good is Robert Forster in that movie? Samuel L. Jackson, I think, does some of his best work with Tarantino. Oh. But just the fact that at the end, I love how unafraid Robert Forster is and how cool he is